What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Russia and Saudi Arabia cooperating through OPEC Plus, really sticking it to the rest of the world here yet again. Yeah, you can see here OPEC Plus output for oil plunges by the most since 2020, going all the way back to the pandemic as the Saudis deepen cuts. Production tumbles by 900,000 barrels a day in July alone. Saudis implement an extra cut in July, pushing prices of oil to $85 a barrel. And this goes to show you that OPEC Plus, which is Saudi Arabia, the countries around there in Africa that are part of OPEC Plus, including Russia, will do whatever it takes to continue to raise and keep oil and gas prices high around the world as long as possible. OPEC Plus reaffirms strategy as the Saudis extend unilateral oil cut. The Saudi kingdom, to continue curbs of 1 million barrels a day all the way into September. Russia has also announced a tapered extension of export cuts. Yeah, you can see here oil buyers brace for Saudi Arabia to boost oil prices once again. And this is what we're seeing happen here. And remember here that even though the United States doesn't buy any oil from Russia, we do. And remember, this isn't really a government policy. It's more of an oil company policy. The oil companies like BP, Shell, Exxon, they buy and sell oil at their own whim. Okay, they decide if they want to sell US oil, buy US oil, and it really doesn't, a lot of people get all worked up, oh, we should keep US oil here. But if we actually if we had a government change, if we went back to 40, 50 years ago, where we had a congressional order that said we won't sell any US oil overseas, and then we would probably not be able to buy any oil from overseas, that would actually probably make our oil prices or our gas prices go up if we didn't have a free market system. Okay, because then we would only be limited to US oil production here. Instead, we can now buy and sell and trade with the whole world. And remember, it's not really like the Biden administration or the Trump administration or any whoever happens to be president at the time. This has been going on for decades. It's the oil companies that control this on a daily, weekly, or monthly or yearly basis. They decide what they want to do with their different types of crude, their different types of oil, diesel, gas, and whether they want to keep it here or send it all the way across an ocean or up to Canada or down to Mexico. Because remember, there's transport costs involved in that. So they decide if they want to just keep it here and sell it here locally, or if they want to buy some crude, different types of light crude and stuff like that from overseas. If it's cheaper, if it's more profitable for them to do that, okay, it's basically just a free market system, okay. But what happens here is that when the Saudis and OPEC Plus and Russia, they have cut production now by 3 million barrels per day. That's a lot. Okay, it's so much here that here is the U.S. Energy Information Administration. I like to show this from time to time so everybody can get on the same page and see the data of how much oil we are actually producing here as a nation. Okay. And we are producing here, this is the height of how much oil we produced ever, about 13 million or 13,000, 13,000s of barrels per day. Okay. So when OPEC Plus cuts 3 million barrels per day, that's 3 million barrels per day. That's 30% of the entire oil the U.S. produces ever. 30%. Okay, so that 3 million barrels per day is a significant amount. Okay, that was, again, and you can just see the oil production has gone up throughout the years, but then the pandemic hit and we had a massive drop. This was when Trump was president. Massive, massive drop. Trump was still president here. We had the pandemic hit. And this is right about when Trump's last day in office was right about here in January. Okay, it dropped all the way down to about 10,900, 11,000 barrels per day. And right about here is when Joe Biden's first day was office. And again, it's been going up since then, all the way up to about here. So we've gone up from about 10,900 right about here to now we're at 12,200 barrels, thousands of barrels per day, or 12.2 million barrels per day. So we have actually produced more barrels per day since Biden's first day in office. And again, I'm not picking sides or anything here. This is just the statistics. It's slightly less than our peak of before the pandemic. But the reason why gas prices are high now is we're combating against a 3 million 3 million barrel per day cut from OPEC plus. That's a significant reduction. It's actually over 30% of all of what the United States produces. Okay, that's a lot. I mean, it's what, like 35% of the entire United States country of what we produce. We are the number one oil producer in the world, and Russia and Saudi Arabia are number two and number three. Okay, that's a lot to compete against here. And you can see gas prices here have gone up over 30 cents in 1 month on an average. Over 30 cents in the last month on average. Again, this is just the average. Some places more, some places less. Of course, if you're in California, you're going to be well into the $4 range. Some other states there are going to be well in the $4 range. Places like Texas are going to be less. But you can see here, we're creeping up to that $4 average. $4 average. Diesel is actually not that much more at the moment. I remember when diesel was, $1 more per gallon. But remember, as these prices start to go up, 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 and away, it starts to affect the prices of everything else. And this is kind of the new wave of inflation that we're starting to see here now, because it affects food prices, it affects prices at the grocery store, prices at Walmart, prices at Target, prices to everything you go to buy, because everything has a fuel transportation charge in there. Yeah. So when we see, I mean, 30 some cent increase in 1 month, that's 10%. That's 10% more. And you have to travel to work, but you're also going to see a 10% more possible increase on maybe food. Maybe not so much, but I mean, you're just thinking about the transportation surcharge. That's 10% increase in a month is a lot. And now Saudi Arabia, Russia, OPEC Plus is saying they're going to continue this all the way into September, possibly even longer. And remember, it doesn't even matter if we don't buy any Russian oil. The oil companies, the gas company, do buy oil from OPEC Plus because it's a massive, massive multi-country nation. Okay, we don't buy from Russia specifically, that just that one country, but the oil companies do buy from the other countries in OPEC Plus. Even if we didn't buy from any of the other countries, which would be a significant problem if we didn't, because that's a massive chunk of the world. We would have a serious problem if we didn't. But it really wouldn't matter, because that the whole world is what sets the oil price, which the oil price alone is about 50% of what sets the gas and diesel price. A lot of the other things are like federal tax, state tax, transportation charges, shipping, all this stuff, employee costs, labor costs, overhead. Okay, but the oil cost, the oil per barrel cost is about 50% of the price alone. So no matter what the US is doing is irrelevant, because the price per barrel on a global scale sets about 50% of the cost right there. So when you see Saudi Arabia and Russia teaming up with all the other OPEC plus countries and say, hey, we're going to cut production by 3 million barrels per day, just so we can stick it to you. And guess what? It's not just you, it's not just your neighbors, it's the whole world paying more for gas, diesel, natural gas, all these type of gases. Yeah. It's so these the sheiks over there that, and Vladimir Putin and all those guys can make multiple billions more. They're not just happy with the billions that they have. They're trying to be trillionaires. Yeah. So let me know your thoughts. This isn't stuff that your news covers. Maybe you hear a tiny little snippet, but this is just what's happening here. So I'll keep you up to date here. If you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below and the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos. Click here to see a video about a new bill about Social Security increases, or you won't believe what is happening at Walmart, Target, and Kroger. Some big changes. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.